Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Larry LaRocque, your presenter. In our top stories, National Security Minister resigns. Government elects him for president. Haiti victim says impunity for UN military rapists fuels sexual violence. Deadly blast hit Baghdad markets. And in sports, Cube Cheese Barbershop draw with Porters. Details of these will follow. Welcome back. A special ceremony was held at the Chinese Embassy on Wednesday, September 25th, where they celebrated the 64th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Chinese Ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Wang Zhongli, reminded the persons in attendance that China, who was once invaded by imperialist countries and reduced to a semi-colonial and a semi-feudal society, overcame their invaders and became the masters of their own land.
On October 1st, 1949, the People's Republic of China was founded, and the Chinese people began to rebuild our home on the ruins of war. In just 64 years, China has become the second largest economy in the world. Although China has been developing at a fast speed, it's still a developing country. Our GDP per capita ranks after number 80 in 2012, I think, which is lower than that of Dominica.
It is important, he said, that they continue to work towards the Chinese dream, which include the 201-year-old goal, completing the building of a modern, prosperous society with all respects by 2021, while building a strong, civilized, and harmonious socialist and modern country by 2049. The ambassador noted, during their relationship with Dominica, established almost 10 years ago, the Chinese dream was connected with the Dominican dream, and as such, have carried out various economic and technical projects in the areas of education, infrastructure, agriculture, and health.
Our win-win approach and mutually beneficial relationship have provided our people with better chances of realizing their own dreams and at the same time contributing to the realization of the dreams of our countries. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past few months, we have seen new development in our bilateral relations. Meetings were held between Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarlett and the new Chinese leadership, including President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang. The State College and the State House projects were completed. Last weekend, a group of Chinese experts arrived in Dominica, and they are now working hard on the technical preparations for building the new Princess Margaret Hospital.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Scarlett praised China for their commitment to small developing states like Dominica and even those who do not accept the One China policy.
In respect to the relationship which exists between Dominica and China, and we're approaching very rapidly 10 years since the establishment of relations with China, I continue to maintain that this was the best decision in the interest of Dominica. It was a progressive decision, and it was a decision based on a vision for the Commonwealth of Dominica. And everyone can agree that this relationship has been mutually beneficial to China and to Dominica. As we speak, we have two very important delegations here from China. One has to do with the preparatory work for the commencement of the construction of a new primary school for the students of Newtown and environs. This is a grant from the government of China to the people of Dominica in the furtherance and advancement of education for children.
A second delegation is currently on the agenda with the Dominican government on its final drawings for the new Princess Margaret Hospital, of which he feels will be a magnificent facility aiding the improvement of the delivery of healthcare in Dominica. Once constructed, the Princess Margaret Hospital will be the most advanced and modern hospital in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. In more news, in its continued quest to develop geothermal energy in Dominica, the government hosted a Geothermal Development Partners Forum at the Fortune Hotel on Thursday, September 26. Speaking at the forum, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works, Energy and Ports, Mr. Lucian Blackmore stated, "A lot has been done. However, there is more work to be completed as it relates to geothermal energy production in Dominica." Minister for Public Works, Energy and Ports, Honorable Raybon Blackmore noted that Dominica forms a part of the vast majority of CARICOM countries that do not have natural gas or crude oil, but fortunately, we are blessed with renewable energy.
In June 2012, the actual drilling and testing of 3 small-sized wells was successfully completed in the Rosa Valley area. Based on our initial results, 120 megawatts of geothermal energy can be had in that catchment area. It is important to note, therefore, that that is more than our domestic use and enough to supply different departments of Guadeloupe and Martinique. Following the outcome of the drilling of the test wells, government has decided to pursue the construction of a 10 to 50 megawatt geothermal power plant for supplying domestic consumers. We can say, based on our calculation, in the first instance, with the commissioning and operation of the small plant, the consumers in the first instance will be able to realize in excess of 30% reduction in the various light bills.
The continued funding to construct a larger plant to export the excess energy will cause consumers to further benefit from cheaper electricity bills. By mid-October, 2 full-size wells will be drilled, one which will function as a production well, while the other will be a reinjection well, constructed in the villages of Loda and Trafalgar.
The government of Dominica has signed a contract with the Icelandic Drilling Company in December 2012 for that purpose, to the tune of $17.4 million. Funding for that phase will come from a loan facility from the EDF and a grant of $2 million, my dear friends, from the Caribbean Investment Facility of the European Union. For that, we are very much grateful.
The minister added, "We produce more geothermal energy than we need in Dominica, so it is to our benefit and that of the economy to export the excess so Dominica can maximize on the benefits of the resource." Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit highlighted, "The government is pursuing this renewable energy to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels."
We believe that this forum is the first of its kind to gather in the English-speaking Caribbean, and perhaps the first of its kind in the Americas. For us, you represent the best that the world has to offer in knowledge, skill, experience in developing and operating geothermal resources, and I dare add financial capacity. We will be sharing with you all that we have done in developing the resource in the Roseau Valley. Until we want you to be frank, to ask the hard questions, and to identify any pitfalls you may see ahead as we gain momentum in commercializing the resource. We want to leave no room for errors as we proceed, and we repose our trust in you that this will be accomplished.
It is hoped that at the end of this forum, a clear path for moving forward with the commercialization of geothermal energy will be proposed. With lower costs of electricity as a direct result of the geothermal plant, Mr. Skerrit believes this will attract investors to conduct business locally while stimulating the establishment of new businesses, leading to the creation of new job opportunities.
It is my belief that some of us in Dominica have been overstepping the mark. I think it is legitimate for us to question, whether individually or collectively, to question appointees of the state or any appointee to a senior position. I think it's open to us to ask questions, to be satisfied that the individual is qualified and is suitable, is appropriate for the post. But I also think that there's a sensitivity that we too often do not pay sufficient regard to, I think.
He said we need to be reminded that we are all human beings, and what we would not like for ourselves, we should not do it to others. This was following the announcement that Guyanese national Mr. Kurt De Freitas withdrew himself from filling the post of Director of Public Prosecution for Dominica.
I think as journalists, as media practitioners, you folks and others who are involved in the media need to sometimes, you get information or you believe something may be the case, no harm, do the investigation.
Mr. Peter noted, journalists should always conduct the necessary investigation to support any claim or accusation they are making. According to the Attorney General, in such a small country with an estimated 70,000 residents, we live and die together. If a hurricane strikes at any time, we all die together, as it cannot strike solely laborites, freedomites, and the UWPites, he said.
And I guess we need to, everybody has their political views or the religious views, that's fine. But I think we are taking it much, much too far now. And in a small island, if we're not careful, we're going to end up in a situation where, it's not going to be comfortable living. Where if we're all going to have to be enemies because we have a different political view or opinion, or a different religious view or opinion, or we support a different team, or we come from a different village. I don't know where we're going with that, but I think we need to take stock and maybe ask ourselves what is really important in life. Because a lot of the stuff that we're fighting over, I don't see it as important.
In other stories, what started out as a rumor on Wednesday, September 25th, was made factual today, Thursday, September 26th, after Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit announced that National Security Minister Honorable Charles Savre had resigned. Mr. Skerrit explained Mr. Savre served Dominica with great distinction and was also an invaluable member of cabinet from the year 2000. He is also considered as an extraordinary contributor to debates in Parliament.
So certainly to be meeting is two very important institutions, one at the executive and one at the legislative level. It was unfortunate that he had to resign, but we understand the circumstances under which he had to resign his position. I will confirm also that Mr. Savre's name shall be put forward to the Parliament as the government's nominee for the post of President of the Commonwealth of Dominica. That election will take place on Monday, the 30th of September, and we expect the inauguration of the President to take place on the 1st of October 2013.
This comes on the heels of Mrs. Jennifer Wallace Laffont's withdrawal for the presidency, an announcement made public on Wednesday, September 25th. It was suspected that Mrs. Lafont holds a dual citizenship. This may have contributed to her decision, as one must be a sole citizen of Dominica to constitutionally be eligible for the role of president. However, Mr. Skerrit says there were personal challenges with Mrs. Lafont, hence the reason for her withdrawal.
As you know, Mr. Savre is a former school teacher, a former trade union leader, a former ambassador, a former minister, a former member of parliament, who has been part of the social, political and economic architecture of Dominica spanning more than 4 decades.
The office of the Prime Minister is expected in 48 hours to announce the person who will fill the position of Minister of National Security, the job left vacant as a result of Mr. Savre's resignation. Parliament will be convened on Monday, September 30th, where a new president of Dominica will be elected. In more news, leader of the UWP, United Workers' Party, Mr. Lennox Linton has made it clear that he is dissatisfied with the government's decision to nominate former National Security Minister Honorable Charles Savre to be President of Dominica. This decision violates the Constitution of Dominica, he added.
We have argued that the 14-day period of nomination that was opened up in the Parliament on the 12th was unconstitutional for the simple reason that the Parliament was summoned because there was no agreement between the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister on the nomination of Alex Boyd Knight. That exchange of letters took place between the 4th and the 6th of September, and on the 6th of September, there was notification sent to the members of Parliament for them to attend Parliament on the 12th of September. By the time they got to Parliament on the 12th of September, Alex Boyd Knight had withdrawn or was withdrawn or discarded, whatever. And Mr. Skerrit, by letter dated the 10th of September, advised the leader of the opposition, Mr. Hector John, the Honorable Hector John, of a new nominee in the person of Jennifer Wallace Lafont.
There was no constitutional authority for the 14-day period of nomination that was open on the 12th of September. That breach of the Constitution is separate from the government's decision for Mr. Charles Savre to be nominated for the post of president, he said.
This will not stand. This will not be allowed to stand in Dominica. The people of Dominica do not like it. They do not think it's in their best interest going forward. And it will not stand.
Mr. Linton is of the view that Mr. Savre cannot be impartial and objective and is unable to unite people, some of the qualities one must possess to fill the presidency position. Former IMF economist Dr. Thompson Fontaine says the government's decision to nominate Charles Savre for president is not a decision that augurs well for them or Dominicans. To elevate a man to the highest office in Dominica, who a year ago called for the boycott of a local business that will close its doors on October 1st, leaving 60 employees without jobs, is a total mistake.
I hope the government would reconsider. What Dominica needs is a person that can bring the country together. Charles Savre is clearly partisan. He has very little tolerance for any view that is opposite to that of the government, and you cannot have a man like that sitting in the office of the president. The office of the president is supposed to be a neutral place, and Charles Savre is not.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
Have you ever wanted to order on the internet but don't own a credit card, or you're just fed up of the high prices of items locally? Well, the solution is Chemet's Online Services. Chemet's Online Services. Order a wide variety of items and get your items in as quick as 5 to 10 days. For placing orders or for more information, call 614-9550. The sky's the limit with Chemet's Online Services.